All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We're on a different streaming platform right now just because we've been having trouble with EVMux and we had to take care of some business. And so Keaton and I are on a different platform right now at StreamYard. And we're going to probably be switching to this anyway because this one doesn't give us all the problems.
Yeah, true.
We don't have our paid version yet, so we can't do our intros and all that fancy stuff and the fancy backgrounds, but that'll come. But we've got a great show today. It's going to be Jonny Mcilroy. It's Mcilroy, right? That's how you pronounce it? Mcilroy? Keaton?
Yeah, Jonny Mcilroy, yeah.
Yeah. And Joe Lean.
Yeah, that's it.
So
Jonny Mcilroy.
Because I've seen it spelled different ways. Like sometimes I could swear I've seen two L's in there, but it should be an I and an L, I think. So yeah, Mcilroy. Maybe people just get confused and they think that, and that's why they put the two L's. But anyways, yeah, we're going to have them come in as a guest. But before we get to them, I just wanted to kind of go over a few things with what happened last Friday. Tina was a great guest, but I want to talk about Canary Kid. So you've seen me. Keaton, you were watching, and I want to get your thoughts on this. We're going to talk just a little bit about this, maybe 5 minutes or so, then we're going to jump into these guys. But, you've seen my... I gave him a sincere apology, I would say, right?
Yeah, as you should.
As I should, and I admitted that was a mistake in what I was trying to do. I had good intentions. It just didn't work the way I wanted. And you guys, you can go watch this on Keaton's channel. The thing's up there. The stream's up there from before. And anyways, you've seen his reaction, right? He talks about the heart and soul. He was pretty heartless, and he didn't accept the apology. And this is what I'm talking about, Keaton, the anger and he's so mad and angry right now that, and when you're in that mode and you start trying to hit him up like I was with apologies and trying to be on his side a little bit more and trying to make him see, that I'm really in it for him, you put up a defense mechanism, and that's exactly what he did. And that's why he started saying those odd things like, I don't agree and I don't accept it. And then he started putting himself on that really high pedestal that's like in the atmosphere.
That's where he deserves to be.
Well, but remember, he's not. This is overconfidence. Remember I told you his weaknesses is overconfidence? So when you're that overconfident, you're so high up there. That's why he keeps losing the big championship matches. So he is good. I agree. He's really good, but he's not as good as he thinks he is. Especially when he starts telling me I'm bronze and he's gold with everything I've accomplished. With everything I've accomplished, Keaton. Listen, you have to understand this. Remember? And you already told me this off camera. Everything I did, listen, everything I did, promoting, booking, running a show, selling out the arenas, and wrestling at 16, until he does all that, then maybe we can talk about that. But you see, I didn't hit him up with all that because that wasn't my agenda. But that is a fact, and even you will admit that when you want to talk about accomplishments.
Well, what I believe is someone who's deservedly been the longest reigning NXT Junior Heavyweight Champion, and
that's all he's got. What's next? What about all the championship matches?
The NWF champion, becoming the best ever NWF champion. That's what's next.
Longest reigning NIPW champion. What about all the others? What's next? What other accomplishments has he gotten?
Well, there's a lot of stuff next.
There's nothing. That's my point, and you know it.
Just being the Canary
Kid. You can't backtrack on what you already said. So,
but yeah, I do believe that some of the stuff that's going on with the Canary Kid, I do believe that he's coming way too ruthless. The new anger and hate inside of him, I think you're right on that point. The new anger and new hate inside of him. From a friendly perspective, I believe that the Canary Kid needs to change things up. So I believe that you're right on that, but it's 100% your fault.
Didn't say it wasn't my fault as far as propping up Ben. So, and I believe you're 100% at fault for putting him up on that high pedestal that he needs to step down from as well, if you want to start talking about who's at fault here. Because, until he gets back, it's just a reality check is all he's got to do. And once he does that, he'll do better. He'll actually do better. So that's my opinion. Let's get our guests in here and we'll talk more. We got Jonny Mcilroy, like we said, the MC, and Joe Lean, referee, and actually wrestler too now, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling as well. And used to be an announcer, I believe. Yeah, so let's get all these guys in and we'll see what they have to say as well. Yeah, but we'll talk. I have plenty of questions for all of them though, so let's bring them in. All right, guys, welcome in.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Had to give Keaton a little tongue lashing. Had to give Keaton a little tongue lashing there before we got started. So, yeah, welcome in, guys. So,
thank you.
So, Keaton, I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, I know you got the list of questions and everything.
Yeah, well, Seymour were just talking about the Canary Kid there, and you were in the back listening to all this and all of our opinions. So we'll start with Joe and then we'll go to Johnny. What's your opinion on all this?
Well, Canary can be very, very outspoken. So he's very brass. He has a bright future ahead of him, but as Crusher stated, he keeps losing the big matches, those title matches, and they don't come around very often for Ricky. So he's going to have to put up or shut up, because I think Ben has got his number. Ben is a modern day Eddie Guerrero with a mullet and all. That kid is going places, and if Ricky wants to go anywhere, he's going to have to catch up. He's going to have to clip Ben's wings and capture the NWF Championship this Saturday. Crusher, you're refereeing, correct?
I will be refereeing that.
There we go. It's going to be some bout, and I can't wait to witness it.
All I was trying to tell Keaton, and he's still trying to fight me on it, but he puts himself up in such a high pedestal. He was saying he's in the atmosphere. He broke all these ceilings, glass ceilings. But if you get overconfident, that can bite you in the rear end. So, yeah, and that's what I was trying to say. He's so overconfident that is hurting him. That's my point with that.
Yeah. He needs to take himself down a peg or two. He'll mature. He will mature eventually. But for now, I think a couple of rattles from Ben would sort him right out.
Well, what's Johnny say? I mean, what do you think, Johnny?
First of all, I have to agree to a part with Keaton here. I think that he's got a right to be every bit as arrogant as he is. The kid is so talented that it's unbelievable. However, I agree mainly with Joe. I think the talking point isn't going to be Canary Kid here. I think it's going to be Ben Nelson. I think Ben Nelson's going to do exactly what his brother Jordan done. So if you look at the 5-way scramble match, there was like 4 or 5 different wee sub-stories going on in that match. Jordan Nelson sneaked in the back door and took away that belt. Now that we're going into this match between Ben and Canary Kid, there's this wee bit of tension now with Crusher, with Keaton, with Canary Kid, and I think Ben Nelson's just going to slip in the back door and take that title.
I will say this, Ben had the right attitude in the last match. If you notice, he wasn't doing anything dirty. He was fighting fair and trying to just win the match, even though he's being double teamed in this last thing they did, because Canary kept interfering. But that's just not like him to interfere in a match. I mean, what was he thinking? So
yeah, I agree with that.
What was that?
His temper is. Yeah. I agree with you. His temper is his biggest downfall, as is his overconfidence as well.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, if he can get his head screwed on straight here in a week, I'm going to have another podcast with those guys live, one on each side of me here Friday when I'm in town.
Ooh.
And it's going to be Friday night and the day before, and if he can get his head screwed on straight, and he goes into this with all that anger at Ben and just concentrate on the match, Canary's going to be almost unbeatable then too.
Yeah.
So with all the experience he's got and everything, but that's a big if. And then maybe because all it takes, look at all these championship matches he's had. You guys just both said, he blows it in these big ones. All he keeps talking about is the former NIPW longest reigning, but that's all he's got.
Yeah, former. I'm definitely in Team Ben here. Camp Ben all the way. Yeah. He's going to pull it off.
I'll play devil's advocate and say, but that is an achievement. The longest reigning NXT junior heavyweight champion. That is an achievement.
I believe he's tied for it. I believe he's tied for it though with D.D. Crooks.
Oh, was he tied with D.D.? I didn't know that.
That's what I was told. Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the people who have won that title, D.D. Crooks, Sage Valentine, John McCann, and he's one of the most longest reigning, him and D.D. to tie together, that just shows the greatness of the Canary Kid. And as much as I like Ben Nelson, with all due respect to Ben, what title has he won?
That's true.
He's about to win one this Saturday.
He's got a point. I mean, Ben, Here's the thing I see. I see a lot more experience with Canary, and that experience can definitely pay in this situation. But his overconfidence. So Canary's just fighting right now. And like I said, what I told him he needed to hear, and I didn't expect him to just bite on that, but I'll tell you right now, after a few days of this settling with Ricky, what I told him Friday is going to settle in. And he might start coming around. I think there's still a chance that you might see your old Canary kid. There's still a chance for that.
Hopefully.
You think so?
But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I do. I think I'm gonna, and that's what I'm gonna work on Friday when I have him again with Ben. I'm gonna see what I can do with that. When I have them both with me, I can make them see. I think I could make them see the light. I just need them both with me. Hopefully they stay in control and don't start trying. We're gonna be in a wrestling ring, and then we could start at it. Who knows? But
well, I think Ricky is going to have a new call out on Saturday, which is LOSER. Say it with me.
Loser. You're kind of Jolene. You kind of remind me of a heel ref here a little bit.
I like what I like, you know. I like Ben. I think it's great.
Yeah, to be fair, Jolene, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think you're right. If Canary Kid doesn't control his temper here, I've already said to him from a friendly perspective, if he doesn't control his temper, he's losing to Ben. But yeah, so that's my opinion. If he doesn't control his temper, he's definitely losing to Ben here.
Yeah, this is probably the first time Keaton's ever agreed with me on anything, you know, to be fair.
Yeah. He just needs to come, you know, what I seen 2 years ago, he needs to bring that energy level where he just concentrated on the match, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was a few years ago. It seems, I don't know, it's just my opinion, but I think since he went in and out of pure filth, he took some of that with him. Now, that's just my opinion, but
yeah.
See, I wasn't around for that. So I didn't get to see that myself, him joining pure filth, and I really wish I had seen that. Like,
oh, it was good. Ricky was a bit manipulated, which maybe what Crusher's getting at. Maybe that's still in the back of his mind that he wants that bit of nastiness, you know. But hopefully he can overcome that and bring back that.
Well, pure filth know how to manipulate people. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. As we know.
And you know, Ricky, he doesn't want to admit that he respects me on camera, and he doesn't want to admit that he's influenced by me. But you look at his drop pick since he met me, and and I have the episode, I have it on video where we talked about a hamstring pull. He didn't know what it was, but now he's doing it. He's doing the move. So I know I can influence him. That's why I know I hurt his feelings when I kept talking about Ben. I was propping up Ben because I wanted to get him to start thinking about Ben and not being overconfident. Yeah. And the whole thing backfired. As you can see, that's why they've been going at each other like cats and dogs.
You're stirring the pot a bit. Yeah.
I stirred it a little too much. That's what Keaton says. It's my fault.
Yep, you've been cooking.
It is.
Yeah. Let me get a couple comments in here, guys. There's people chatting here. Darren says, "Where can we get mullet wigs?" Mullet wigs, is that a thing? Is that gonna be like his marketing thing for Ben? Mullet wigs?
Could be, yeah. Well, Dan could just shave the sides of his head and grow it out. You know, have a real one, maybe.
I don't think anybody could emulate that mullet. To be fair,
well, it's a nice mullet, like to be fair.
Isn't it? Yeah. Sensational.
And then Ken Russell says, "Wee Ricky."
That guy's got so much ego, doesn't
he? Ken's full of ego. Ken is going places, like really is. Like he's developed so much over the past year in NIPW. Like it's nice to see his change in attitude, where he knows that he's a big lad and he's getting stuff done. You know,
right?
That's his promos. His promos are absolutely sensational.
Yeah, he's got that ruthless aggression kind of vibe, Ken does, and I think that's what we were missing in NIPW, was somebody with a bit of raw power, raw material, behind him. You know?
Sure.
He's becoming a must-see star at NIPW for sure.
And look at this. George says, "Bring back Dirty Bird." He wants to see Canary stay, keep going down this heel path of his, but. You know, the thing is, though, the fans there weren't used to it. I think Keaton was the only one cheering on that last one for Ricky. Like everybody else has pretty much turned on him, you know. So
yeah, well, he's probably done that himself. Like, you know, as you say, cockiness will get the better of you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can be cocky and confident, but not overconfident.
Yeah.
So it's the overconfidence, I think, that's hurting them the most. I really do. I think because I know what it's like. You start losing, and especially, see, here's what happened. I propped up Ben, and he hated hearing it from me. So who is he mad at? Ben. So that's where he's so mad and angry at Ben. And when you get so mad and so angry at somebody, you don't think straight, and you just can't. That's what I'm trying to say. He needs, and Keaton agrees, he needs to clear his head of that and just start focusing on the match.
Yeah.
Then we'll have a good championship. Because I just, guys, I'm coming 5,000 miles. I just want to have a good championship match for NIPW and everything. I just want to have a good match for these two.
Yeah.
Right.
But then if you think that Canary Kid's hard to deal with now, just think if that match happens, the anger gets to him and he manages to manufacture that into a win. Can you think of what he's going to be like then?
Well, yeah, that's true. But if Ben comes in with all the great passion, though, that's not going to be an easy fight with his anger.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'd overcome that.
That Ricky doesn't take his anger out in you, Crusher. That's one to watch. You know you're gonna have to call it down the middle.
I do have to call it down the middle, and I will. But you know something, I'm not afraid of Canary Kid either. So if he wants if he wants to mess with me, he knows what would happen. Why did he ducked and dodged? I'll tell you, there was a contingency plan. He might have had to face me if he swept at Ben, and he kept coming up with excuses. I don't know, Crusher. Maybe we should, First he looked like a ghost when he found out, and then he's like, well, maybe we should come up with something else. I don't want to hurt an old man, and kept coming up with all these excuses. I said, I ain't got to worry about hurting me. But
do you think you'll be able to control your temper, Doc? Holy God!
What's that?
Do you think you'll be able to control your temper if he does get riled up? If he does get overconfident?
Temper? Well, I mean, if he shoves me, I'll shove him back. If that's what you're asking. Hopefully,
that's what I was asking.
Hopefully he won't try that. But I mean, I don't think I would disqualify him over a shove. But I did warn him pretty clearly. If he cheats, he's going to get disqualified, and Ben too. So I just want a clean match. That's all I really want. So Ben's not, Ben has his own problems here. I wasn't a fan of Ben going after him with the crutch in that match. I wasn't a fan of that.
No.
I mean, he cost the match for Canary.
I know Canary would have been the champion.
Nothing worse than outside interference.
Exactly. Canary would have been the champion.
Let's see. We got some more comments coming in. Mitch Baxter, the commissioner, right? Joe, you won the Breakout Rumble. If you show up to work with your hair cut like that, you'll be fired.
Oh, come on.
Fired.
Baxter can't keep his nose out of my business. He's been trying to fire me for months. To be fair, is he talking about my hair or a mullet like Ben?
He should remember that he's the one watching you here.
What?
He's the one watching you here, not the other way about.
Yeah. Listen, I'll get him in the long run. I've got a history with Baxter. It hasn't just developed just so quick. But I'll see him. Oh,
I want to see that.
I'll mark his cards.
I'll tell you this much, guys, though. I mean, I am really looking forward to coming over there and meeting all you guys. I think this is going to be great to be in person, Doing it on here is fun, but I want, to actually be in person. That'll be great.
You might not say that when you leave.
Oh, I don't know. I've never been to Europe, but it should be good. I just hope people don't get too tired of my accent.
No.
You'll be all right.
Let's see. Ghostly Gamer says, what's the next wrestling show at NIPW? Well, that's what we're talking about, right? Wrestle Clash?
Yeah.
Which is going to be Saturday. Yep. And it's at the Willowfield Church Halls.
Yeah, Saturday, Willowfield Church Halls in Belfast.
Yep, May 31st.
And that's going to be a big main event. Callum Black as well against Damien Corbin for the Resolution Heavyweight Championship. And both of them are undefeated going into it.
Undefeated in NIPW.
In NIPW.
Yeah, so that's going to be a hard hitting match. Two super heavyweights going 1-on-1 for that title. One of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious title in all of Irish wrestling.
And then Mitch is still chiming in here. Get a shave, he says.
Johnny?
I don't know.
Well,
maybe
mine just trimmed.
Okay.
But yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm still kind of. I'm not worried about Canary Kid. I can't believe you asked me that, Johnny. You think or was it you, Joe?
Johnny, I think you've rocked him a bit.
No, it was you, Joe.
You've rocked him.
Are you
it
worried?
Was Joe. I wouldn't do something like that. It was definitely Joe.
Am I worried about Canary Kid? More like, is he worried about me?
Yeah. See, that's the feud I want to see is Joe against Crusher. That's the real money right there.
You don't want to see two pensioners in the ring, you know. That's just not going to happen.
I'll tell you a funny story. I was, one of the things I was going to do is I was going to help in the kids class and help him with the drop kick because that was my move. That's why Ricky's trying to make his really good. Just FYI. And I thought, God, I haven't done this in a while. Can I still do a drop kick? So I don't have a ring, but I can practice it. So I had to have something somewhat cushiony to land on, but I can do it. But man, it's not the same landing anymore when you're in your mid 50s. But I can get up there. I can still hit it.
Drop kicks are mean. Like, you could, if you want to drop kick Ricky in the face on Saturday, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I think
you could try.
He would like to drop kick me, but I'm sure that
wouldn't want him to.
It would kind of be like when Randy Orton started. He had sort of with Hardcore Holly's kind of version of a drop kick. You know, maybe that's like you and Ricky. So you're the Hardcore Holly, and he's the Randy Orton. You know, that's sort of the passing of the guard, the passing of the drop kick.
Well, yeah. It's you guys are talking. But
I did watch some of Crusher's matches there, and definitely your drop kick is on point without a doubt.
Yeah, that was my specialty. That's the one I like. We didn't have.
You get some height in it.
Yeah, like when I hit Kelsey, when he claimed he dislocated his jaw, but he's 6'1", and I got rid of his teeth. But I don't think I dislocated his jaw. This guy does, but. Yeah.
Well, he's the one that felt the pain.
That's just one of those great stories around the campfire at this point, and we never heard it back then. So, but I was gonna say though is with what were we talking about right before that? Oh, yeah, you guys are talking about like me against Joe Lean or whatever. But what Nathan was pushing was to try to get me to get in there with Canary at some point down the line. I'm like, you got to realize, Nathan, I am not a spring chicken anymore. So, I mean, I don't know, but never say never. I always say
never say never.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some more comments coming in. Mighty Molly says, Joe, why is Mitch being so mean to you?
Because Mitch is just mean. He's just angry. Because he's short and he's got glasses, and he's a bit roly-poly, he doesn't have a lot going for him, so he has to take it out on somebody else. And, I just happen to be, hot at the moment. And, Mitch is trying to, assess his authority or assert his authority, as I would say. But it's not going to work. He can just cry. He's a GM. All GMs cry. He's the Bischoff of wrestling, of NIPW.
So do you go on record then as saying that Mitch is vertically challenged?
I will sign anything to say that Mitch is vertically challenged. I will get a height chart to say Mitch is vertically challenged.
But Joe, you can't really say anything about people throwing their authority about. If you remember at a Christmas show, you fired Pop and Patty, you stunned him, and he wasn't seen since like a year after.
You got called out.
So I wasn't in the best place. And Patty, Pop and Patty was great and all, but maybe I have something against height, people with the shortness, but it was just his attitude. So it was. He was a horrible referee. There was he wasn't quick enough. There was no spring in his step. He had to go. He was doing a horrible job. So I stunned him and fired him because that's the power I had at the time. But yeah. So. It was one and done. I apologized to Patty after. I even took him out and got him a Happy Meal. It is what it is.
So you were the one that fired him? Is that you?
Yeah, I pretty much, yeah.
I remember hearing about the storyline with Keaton doing a video on it and stuff. So,
It was fun. It was a highlight, actually.
And then this one from Wrestling Insider. Johnny, have you ever trained in wrestling?
No. That is, I'm happy enough with the production side of things. I would dislocate my hip just getting into the ring, never mind doing a drop kick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but have you ever had the desire to want to do it, though?
You have dreams, you know. I mean, you have like the fantasies whenever you're a kid, you know. But no, not really. Like whenever I get into it, I was only 2 years ago I started getting into the ring announcing. So no, definitely no intentions. I love the psychology side of it. Like I love the production side, and then like the behind the, you know, what goes on backstage. I love that side. So I'd love to get involved in that before actually training.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's why I started what we did back in the 80s, because first of all, there was no way for kids to train in that time. We had to self-train in the beginning, which was hell. And but then when I finally got with Eddie Sharkey and I got smartened up, as I like to say, you know, then I was grateful. But man, if I wouldn't have made a mark by doing what I did and having 300 people show up, Eddie would have never trained me or even thought of training me at 16, even then. So we didn't have that opportunity back then like they have today. These kids are so lucky. Keaton is going through it right now. And I mean, they've really got a good opportunity there. And Nathan, you know, not all trainers are willing to do this. Nathan's one of them that'll do it, that'll train younger kids and stuff. And there's a few over here in the United States too. But they're not everybody's doing that, you know. Some of them have got to be 18 or older still and that kind of thing.
I think it's a credit to NIPW and Nathan himself for what he's doing, especially for the young children. With the training and stuff, it's quite nice to see. I suppose since he became a father himself, you know, he appreciates it more, and you know, he wants to give that back. You know,
sure.
So it's real good that Keaton and the likes of the rest of the kids get the opportunity to do that. And it also sets up the next stage in the next generation of Northern Irish wrestling.
It does. The only thing is, it's like you get that revolving door with kids. Like they don't all stick with it, and I know they've experienced some of that. Keaton, you've been telling us about it too. Not everybody sticks with it. Keaton's one of the longest ones there, I think now. And
longest one.
Yeah, so it's like, and what you know, the only way to fix that is to. I think what when you have kids going, what you need to do is you need to give them a little bit of a bone. So they need to have something to work towards. Like if you get good enough, you're going to have an opener match for us at one of the shows or whatever it is. Like they did already. They already did one, right? That kind of thing. There needs to be a reward there, so you have something to work towards. And some might not be ready for it, but then they know if I get good enough, I'll be ready to go and do that.
Yeah, well, to Nathan's credit, you know, over the past year, maybe more, that the kids have been active on shows with exhibition matches, getting their own entrances, things like that. And they've done him very proud. He's also done himself proud for what he's done for them, and they have done him a good turn as well. Like, you know, showing off their talent and their skill at such a young age, and in a format where you're surrounded by, you know, 50 people or spectators. You know, it can't be easy as a kid, you know. But the credit to them, like, you know, and to the coach, you know, it's a good job, like, you know.
Oh, he's doing.
I think you have to acknowledge. So I think you have to acknowledge as well just the level that Nathan is training them to in such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at Stevie Fee, Sage Valentine, like are they a year and a half maybe?
About a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, like that's, and you look at like how well they're doing.
You know, I've used it in our storyline with Ricky, but I mean it. I would kill to have the training he got at 14. I would kill when I was 14 to get that kind of level of training, because old school training was not the same.
Yeah,
it was old school. It was a whole different thing, and it wasn't. The philosophy was different in old school. They weren't talking. It wasn't picture perfect crispness. It was just make it look real as you can. You know, sell. It's all about selling, right?
Yeah.
You don't care how your feet are. You don't care how the stance is. You know, he shows you the basics, but. You know.
So is there anything that they don't do now that they used to do old school that you would like to see brought back?
You mean like move wise?
No, just like and their method and training.
Oh, and training. Well, you know, I don't know if they do it this way, but the way Eddie did it, and I thought it was good, was repetition. So like one day of training would just be hip lock takedowns, and you do 100 of them over and over and over and over to the point where it was memorized. And so that was that days of training. So they'd take one move each time, and that's what you'd work on. And then the way he trained you in a match is you would learn all these moves, and then the match training came at a show where you were put in with an experienced guy who led the match, and you just put all these moves together. And that's how he would, you know, remember old school, a little more simpler. And this is kind of before they got into the ebb and flow, where you try to start to, really work a match properly with, proper back and forth, and when you're going to transition and that kind of stuff. So that's how I think, but at the repetition part of that, I think was good, because it was retention memory. You had it down. Believe me.
I suppose that becomes muscle memory as well.
Yeah, muscle memory and everything. Believe me, after a day of one move, you're going to forget it. and what we're training on is wrestling mat pads. So we're doing hip lock takedowns on wrestling mat pads in a gym, not in the ring. So when you get in the ring, it's like, this is great, compared to what the training was. Yeah. And I think that was intentional, because they wanted you to be, they're callousing your body for it.
Yeah. Toughen you up.
Yep. Toughen you up for it. So let's see. We got tons of questions coming. Let's bring these in. Darren says, happy, LOL, a happy meal. I think it was referring to earlier. And then Mitch says, he's still here. We'll see who's challenged on Saturday at WrestleClash. Just you wait. Vertically challenged. Unbelievable. I don't think he took too kindly to that.
No, he's taking that bad, to be fair. Yeah.
Let's see. Then we got another one here. This is Stewarty. Is it Stewarty? Is that how you say that? Stewarty M19? Stewarty. Who's the best referee in Ireland that's not Joe Lean? I can answer that. I can answer that. Crusher Crossen is coming. He'll be the best referee in Ireland.
But not till Saturday.
Not till Saturday.
Up until Saturday, it's Hal Stanton for sure.
So, how many referees are there, by the way? Like, how many do you guys have right now in NIPW?
For NIPW, so myself, would have been the senior referee, and then we had Stuart Murray. Stuart has refereed for a few years as well. Stuart is also a former wrestler. He's very, very good, very talented, and knows his craft well. And then we have a young lad, Hal, who's just started with us at NIPW. Hal is coming along quite nicely. He listens, he takes it in, he's learning, and he'll be good ref in not very long, the matter of time. Yeah.
Now you transitioned to wrestler, right?
I did, yes.
So are you wrestling now? Are you still reffing or no?
So when I originally started with NIPW, then it was NXG. The idea was to be a wrestler. It's everybody's wrestling dream was to be a wrestler. I don't think anybody ever wanted to start out being a referee or an announcer. Sorry, Johnny. But I trained for a bit on and off. I had a couple of matches, but life kind of got in the way. So I couldn't really commit to the training, and that was just it. It was work and home life. So I was able to go to the shows and still be part of the shows, but only as a referee or an MC. Stuck with that for a few years. Honed my craft very well, if I do say so. I think the guys know that we're in the ring with me. They feel much safer. They can count on me and trust in me to help them, look after them as much as each other. But over the past while, life kind of took a bit of a turn, and I was able to then commit more to training, commit more to the shows and what it took, in terms of trying to become a wrestler. So I hung up my referee shirt on Breakout 2 a couple of weeks ago, and I'm now a fully fledged member of the NIPW roster. Your boy, Joe Lean.
And I think maybe a heel side too. Looks like you were back in the day with the announcing and everything.
Yeah. So again, the announcer was trying to find your feet, and when you were starting, sometimes I'd mumble and stumble along the way, and somebody would heckle me from the crowd. And I have a bit of tongue in cheek, so I would give a bit of abuse back. And it just developed into I didn't really work off a card or anything. It was just sort of me just, giving dogs abuse to whoever I'd seen. So, I think I was just being more of myself, which came across as quite heelish. But, it is what it is, I thought it was funny. Other people thought it was just being mean. Probably should have changed my name to Joe Mean.
Well, you mentioned, Johnny mentioned like what what did we, what could we bring back from Eddie Sharkey's training? And one of the things he did quite a bit is, and I think they all did it then, is when you were in training, you would be refereeing. And the reason is you'd be as a referee is because to see how a match flows before you actually get into a match.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You need to know, how it flows, where to be, positioning wise, all that stuff, listening to cues, everything. You need to be on that end, have some sort of experience relatively going into that role.
And they would tell you a little bit. They say, like, make sure you react. Like when he does something with your arm, arm goes up or something, you got to react to what's happening in the ring as a referee. It's very important. And so that's good to know. But really, to see a match take place up close like that, you do pick up a lot of things. So that was always a good thing. And
positioning is key. And then, as you say, reacting. There's nothing that sort of helps kill a match more than a dead ref.
Yeah, just a standing there like a statue.
Yeah, you need to be loose. You know what I mean? Have a bit of movement with you. And don't react to everything.
Right.
You don't want to overdo it. When the guys are hitting big slams or suplexes off the top rope, you're going to jump.
Stay out of the way too. Like some refs get in the way of what they're doing, right?
Oh yeah.
In a spot where you're going to be out of the way.
Yeah, positioning is key, and staying out of the guy's road, all that stuff.
I'll never forget Eddie Sharkey though. The first day I showed up at his camp, once he learned we did this big arm recard, and he's like, "Yeah, you gotta, come down to the training camp." And so we did. Me and Steve, and he's like, "Show me a little bit what you can do," because he wanted to see. So we lock up like we knew how. He's like, what are you doing there? And I said, we're locking up. He goes, no. Collar and elbow. Collar, elbow. And that was the first thing we got corrected on. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So you have to have an open mind. But a lot of it we knew pretty good. We weren't too far off, but I remember the collar and elbow though, because that was the first thing. Yeah. He's like, you got to do collar and elbow lockup. Just don't lock up.
In terms of referees, could I just give a special shout out as well? There's Keely over here, and she does a CAW stage training that as well. And honestly, she is up there she is as good as anybody on this island. Referee, she is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
she's about 4'9", but she's somehow manages to be the biggest person in the ring when she needs to be there.
Yeah. We got another comment here from Darren. Bring that in. Chris Mercer was a great announcer. Johnny is so good at whipping up the crowd too. Joe did a great job when he was announcing too, but seemed to be a heel announcer. That's where I got that from.
Yeah.
And what was that all about?
Listen, I was just being me. You guys just took it the wrong way. Like you cannot take a joke,
Was it like Eric Bischoff kind of heel announcer? And what kind of style was it?
It was more tongue in cheek, like if somebody in the crowd was ugly, I would have called them ugly. Like that might have been a bit mean, So. Or it was like the addition for the X-Men or something, It's something.
And then Stuarty M19 says, "Am I saying that right, Stuarty?"
Yeah.
Refereeing is so underappreciated.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the hardest jobs, if not the hardest job on the show, especially if you're doing a show from start to finish under lights. You fatigue. You're constantly ducking, diving. You're bumping as well, and you need to have your wits about you. You need to be cued in on finishes, spots. There's a lot of information to retain, and also not mucking up a finish. Or getting in the way, it is a lot of pressure. And if you misstep, the fans will call you out. And it happened to me in my first match, my first show. The finish, I think I may have counted it wrong. It was supposed to be, and the fans had called me out, so I sort of restarted the match. My nerves got the better of me. It was my first show, but you're doing it for 2.5 hours. You had no room to breathe. You can't go backstage. It's a lot to take in, especially in your first try.
Back in the day, the refs always wore wrestling boots. I don't think they do anymore now, but that was very customary to have that.
Yeah,
well, the cardio side of it as well, Joe, because they got something I had never really thought of with the referee role. But then that last show we done there, Breakout, and Hal done the whole show. Like how he done that whole show and that heat in that dojo without collapsing, I do not know.
Yeah, on a summer's day or spring day, whatever it is, like, I can be up to like 30 degrees, 40 degrees, wherever it is, like, it's hot inside that unit.
Yeah.
And again, it's very small. It holds 50 people. It's body heat. It's you've got the guys in the back. You've got the fans. You've got the lights. We've a great setup.
Sun beating off the tin roof.
You tin roof and a tin shutter. It can get quite hot, and there's not much way for aircon. Again, it's a lovely unit in the heart of Carry Duff, and in the heart of the north of Ireland as well. But yeah, to do that, and again, you're out for the whole show. The only break you get is the 10-minute interval. It's quite daunting, but it can be done. And Hal done a great job. He's ref 2 shows for us, and he's just perfecting it each time. He listens and learns, which is great. And he has also had myself and Stuart to work off and not pass your knowledge down as well.
Probably give a shout out to George as well, because if you think of how small that dojo is there, how he manages to walk backwards round there with that camera. Like, I've never once seen him fall. I've never once seen him lose focus or anything like that. And he always manages to get himself squeezed around. Yeah, so I think that needs a bit.
Yeah, the guys, the production team do a solid job. Like, referee, the cameraman, the guys who do the lighting, guys who do the sound in such a small unit as well. Like, with the heat and stuff. It's a real credit to what we have going on for NIPW. Yeah, it's great. It's cool. Oh,
I thought you just created an awkward silence there, Joe.
No, I was just looking. I was just checking to see if I thought I had the promo for the Wrestle Clash, but I can't find it. I was gonna play it for us. We have it all. We have all that in EB Mux. So.
Yeah.
Actually, though, I think I did get some. I think I got the poster. Let me see. I can at least show that. Keaton, do you have any questions yet, Keaton? While I'm looking for this.
Yes. So, what made you fall in love with wrestling? So, I know you two are involved in it, and I know you don't really do wrestling, Johnny, but was that something you ever wanted to do, and what made you fall in love with it?
I fell in love with it. Oh,
there we are. Just putting this.
Oh, I'm still on. I fell in love with it hook, line, and sinker the minute I seen it. Was I think I actually got a box of hand-me-downs from a neighbour, and it was the old magazines in it, WWF magazines, and that was the first I'd kind of seen anything to do with wrestling, and it was all the larger-than-life characters, and then I managed to get a few tapes. And I think the main one was WrestleMania 12, Iron Man match, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and back then, Sky TV, that was only kind of the richer kids had Sky TV in their house. So there was literally about 10, 15 kids packed into my cousin's sitting room, 4 o'clock in the morning watching that. And still, to me, one of the best memories of my life. And that got me into it, hook, line, and sinker. But then I fell out. Obviously, I fall out for a wee bit. And then I went to America and managed to bluff 2 tickets to WrestleMania 24. And that was me straight back in with a bang.
So you're able to get WrestleMania 4, which is good.
WrestleMania 24, yeah. That was... I was over just working in America at the time, and I met a guy, CJ. He was over for WrestleMania as well, or he was over for WrestleMania. So I got talking to him, and I was going to go just to the fan access thing before it. He was going to go and watch the show, and I'd watch it in a pub and meet him after. But as we were pulling in, there was a guy coming up. Literally, I can remember his face like yesterday. He was driving a bike with a wee basket in front of it saying WrestleMania tickets. I had $90 to my name, and I said to him, I'll give you $90 for your WrestleMania tickets. And I got one. So I went in, and CJ, I think, I hope he's watching this. CJ, I think, has spent like over £1,200 to get there, like for the travel, the accommodation, WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw. And when I come out and met him after, I had 10 times better seats for $90 than he did.
Class.
So that was a good memory too. But watching Shawn Michaels again, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, that match live, that's what got me back into it with a really big bang.
Shawn's one of the best ever did, and so is Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
Well, how did I get into the passion for wrestling? Well, my obviously, Keaton, you're from Belfast, and your dad might know this. There was a venue called the King's Hall, just off the Boucher Road. That would have been a big venue for gigs in the the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. My dad had scored 4 tickets for WCW. I may get the year wrong. It might have been 1991 or 93, and around then. And it was WCW at the King's Hall in Belfast. And he took myself and my cousins up. And on the show, you had Big Van Vader. You had Sting when he was a surfer. Ravishing Rick Rude, who I fell in love with. And so did my dad. We thought he was brilliant. And Dustin Rhodes, Cactus Jack. And the British Bulldog when he was in WCW, and he had the dreadlocks and the big Union Jack. And it was, as a kid, it was just wow. And we were as close to the ring as possible. And it was just, it's like people say about core memories. This thing has just stood with me for the test of time. It was fantastic. So that's my earliest memory of wrestling. I think what got me into it, big time, was I remember sitting in 1997 in the living room on the floor, and as Johnny said, Sky TV was a thing back then, for rich kids. Not that I was rich, but we were watching. I can't remember the pay-per-view, but it was when Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker had their Hell in a Cell, and I remember vividly sitting on the floor in the living room with my dad, and the pyro went off, and Kane came out and ripped the door off the Hell in a Cell and went in and tombstoned The Undertaker. For me, that was what got me hooked on wrestling. Kane, since then, I know I've got the Austin t-shirt and the jacket and stuff, and I love Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Kane is my idol. I love him to death. He's just, for me, that was it. That was that's the biggest memory I have as wrestling, sitting watching that and just being, as a kid, going, oh, what's happened, It was just so cool.
Oh, yeah. I remember that was so cool. Well, once I remembered I watched it, it wasn't alive at the time. So now, obviously you mentioned there The Undertaker, you mentioned Kane, and you mentioned obviously loving Stone Cold. Who do you think was your biggest inspiration and biggest idol in wrestling?
Oh well, obviously Kane's my biggest idol. I've always loved him. Even if it was corporate Kane, even if he was wearing suit pants, I just thought that man could do no wrong. He's my idol. But the inspiration for wrestling, I would say, it has to be Austin. He said what he wants, he does what he wants. Yeah. He drinks copious amounts of beer. And he gives his boss dog abuse. That's me to a T. I just kind of just do what I like, and stun people, and it's just, he was just himself, and as what I feel is that I am then just the embodiment of that. I'm just myself, and if you don't like it, you can lump it, and he's easy to love, It's just it was just so cool,
But Mr. McMahon made him. Yeah. That character, right? You needed both of them. If you didn't have McMahon doing Mr. McMahon.
Well, this is true.
Now, I personally hated Vince McMahon as a person, even back then. I didn't, because he ruined the territories, and I always never forgave him for that, for robbing talent and destroying the territory days. Yeah. So I wasn't a fan of Vince, but when he became Mr. McMahon, that was I'm like, wow, this is good. This is good.
That whole attitude, wouldn't have been anything obviously without Vince. There's a lot of big players in it too. Yeah. But the man made wrestling. And if he didn't take over the territories, we wouldn't have what we have today, which is a global phenomenon. And the fact that they've moved to Netflix, and over the years it's developed, and now it's on a big streaming platform, it has really brought back the wrestling to the mainstream, where more eyes are on it. The likes of us guys were trying to sell tickets for a dojo show, and people were trying to watch it in Sky Sports. You have to pay for these things; it costs an awful lot of money, pay-per-views and things. Where now it's on Netflix and it's hitting everywhere, globe wide. There's more eyes on the product, which means there's more eyes on us, which is fantastic, because people are looking out for wrestling in their area. It's not just, what's going on in the WWE or what's going on in TNA or AEW. It's like what's going on my home turf. And I think the big thing for that is, the likes of WWE have pushed the boundaries for that in terms of streaming, social media, all that stuff, and again, credit to Vince, because without him, we wouldn't have what we have today. Maybe Baxter could be my Vince McMahon.
I think people try to remove Vince McMahon from because of what he done from the history of wrestling, and you can't because of what he's done to wrestling. I know, like, people may hold grudges with him because of the territories, but he made it what it was, and WWE wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for that man.
Absolutely. A lot of big players, like you take the likes of Steamboat, the Iron Sheik, obviously Hogan, Flair, Rock, Austin, Michaels, Bret Hart, all those guys, even with the WCW, DDP, all those guys, just put it in the mainstream, it's fantastic that we can now live this dream, especially me, I'm 39 years of age. I grew up loving wrestling, and I didn't start till I was 35,
right.
And I am grateful for every day I get to do it or be a part of it,
Yeah.
So the dream has come true,
I would love to go back to 35 again. That, especially coming out to ref a match and everything. But when you get older, you start feeling everything. You feel everything more.
Oh yeah, I know. We were doing sidewalk slams and back suplexes and everything one day when we were training. And that was a great training session. Fantastic. Yes, can't wait to do it tomorrow. And you're like,
right.
Yeah.
It's grim, but it's fun, and I'm very appreciative they get to do it, and I know I'm in safe hands,
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And Johnny, who were your inspirations growing up with wrestling?
You basically gave my answer. Stone Cold and DX during that era. The Rocker, like whenever I really first get into it, when I first got into it, I was kind of watching tape, so I was watching old stuff first, if that makes sense. I was kind of watching the golden era before the Attitude Era. So I love the Rockers, really liked the Rockers back then, but then mainly it was Stone Cold. The minute that Attitude Era hit, Stone Cold, I've got enough trouble in school a few times because of the Attitude Era and DX, but now I would say it would be Minoru Suzuki. I love Minoru Suzuki at the minute, but of all time, it would definitely just Stone Cold, hands down.
Yeah, he's incredible.
I don't think people now know just I don't even think we realized at the time just how big Stone Cold was. He was just everywhere. He was the Hulk Hogan of the 90s. Everywhere you look, if you didn't watch, my grandmother knew Stone Cold Steve Austin's name, and it wasn't because of me. So he was mad.
Here's a few comments I'm going to get in quick so they don't. Was way earlier, but I have never wore that shirt again after Joe told me it sucked. I'm not sure what shirt he's talking about though.
Well, to be fair, it could be a many variety of shirts that Darren wears because the majority of them absolutely suck. So the man has no fashion sense.
And then
I'm finding this whole new personality to Joe near here now. So
and George said,
"Only thought you were a nice guy."
George said, "Thank you, Johnny." When you're talking about cameramen, and then Darren says, "Would Kane approve of your Dolly Parton theme tune though?"
I think he would because it's not. Yes, it's Joe Lean. Yes, Dolly Parton.
That's what you come out to.
It's a heavy metal version of Joe Lean. And it's produced by a band called Firebird. You can find them on YouTube. They covered the song. When before I used the song for my debut, and then it was NXG, I had messaged the band to ask them permission. A lot of this stuff, if you put videos on Facebook and things, they got to get flagged up for copyright. So I didn't want and I'm very proud of all the stuff I've done wrestling wise, even with the referee and the videos, but I wanted permission, before I did it, so that nothing would get taken down. And the band were gracious enough to allow me to use their song. They've done a big post about it as well. They're from America. There's a guy in Northern Ireland, Joe Lean, who's going to choose our theme. The feedback from it was great. I think I think when I was a bit of a heel, I might have changed it to a slightly rockier version, but everybody loved the original. I love the original. We diverted it back, and I think it's a staple of NIPW. That song, I really do like. It's it's
a kick-off version of it, like without a doubt.
Yeah, it bangs like Mm-hmm. But I think Kane would love it. He won't choke slam me. Maybe hope not.
I'm paid to see that.
I got all the comments in now, Keaton.
Yeah, and Johnny, you were talking there about loving Stone Cold Steve Austin, and although obviously because you don't wrestle, you don't have his style, but would you say on the mic you'd maybe get some passion or inspiration from Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I don't think that would be an incorrect statement. There's one thing with my announcing is, like, I noticed Joe was good at this. I really struggle to do the happy, smiley, professional ring announcer. I struggle to do that. That's not me. I like more that, and like Bruce Buffer, UFC. I prefer that style. Like I would say he would be the one that inspires me the most. I've watched a lot of him. What I like about him is whenever the UFC fighters are coming out, they're going out there ready to die. They are possibility of getting knocked out in front of millions of people. They're going to be nervous. Their adrenaline's going to be through the roof. But Bruce Buffer, by the time he starts his intro and finishes it, he has each fighter chomping at the bit, just ready to go. And that's what I like. I love that in your face, more aggressive style of announcing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that is quite a unique thing to do, because most ring announcers are smiling, and it just isn't really realistic. So I think what you done, Joe, as well, you didn't really see any heel characters as ring announcers, which was pretty cool. And then Johnny, you try to get the fans hyped up as much as they can. So I think both are incredible announcers.
Thank you.
And the ring announcers nowadays, they're just more into it versus what they were back in the day. Back in the day, they were just very, very dry, introducing the match. They usually had a radio voice, but that was about it.
Could I get your view on something then, all of you? So Samantha Irvin, remember, just to do it for WWE?
Yeah, incredible.
So I said that at the start, but then I started questioning, was to where a bit where it maybe went too much about her? Or was I reading that wrong?
I think with Samantha Irvin, I think the good thing about her was, I think when during the matches she didn't want to know the finish. So so when she's announced, obviously she do the intro, but when she's announcing the winner, and that's where you're getting that raw emotion kind of thing. I loved it. I thought she was great, and for that reason alone, that she wanted to be invested in what was going on and not have it's spoiled for the outcome. Where you're getting that if something's going to happen, like you're not going to get an honest reaction. Yes, sometimes maybe it could be overdone, but I think she did it to an absolute T.
It depends who it is, though.
I should note as well, like I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying that she wasn't. The reason I was asking was I'd seen that argument a lot online, and that's where I was struggling to find a balance at the start. Was that kind of balance? You're meant to be heard, but the person you're announcing is meant to be seen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, meant to be heard. But see, with the not knowing a finish and knowing a finish, though, some people can't do it that way. Like if you I know there's announcers that if they don't know the finish, they're like shell shocked, and I've
never asked for a finish, never ever.
Yeah, I mean that I'm talking more about the commentators. Like they got to usually know what's going on.
Yeah.
So because they're going to call the whole match, and if they don't, if you're looking for that reaction, not everybody can react like that. So it depends who you are.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're that kind of person that can react real well and not know it, that's great. But some people, I know Heenan talked about this because they tried doing that in WCW, not letting them know the finish. So it's just going to be a surprise. And Heenan was like, how do you want us to react if we don't know? We're going to be like, we've never seen this before. Like he was one of those guys that wouldn't be able to do that, really.
Yeah. I think in terms of commentating, that makes sense. But I think with Samantha, then it's just, obviously the scratchy voice, emotion, which is right. The winner. I would agree with the commentating. It's like, the guys need to know then what story they're presenting, what way to present that story,
Right. The thing about Samantha as well is she seems to have influenced the people that's followed her. What you call the lady that's doing it now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like you can see a lot of Samantha, and it's not that she's copying Samantha Irvin; she's doing her own twist on it.
Yeah.
But definitely Samantha Irvin has definitely influenced her as well.
Samantha was up there, and then you had Lillian Garcia, but nobody will ever beat the Fink.
No, never.
Nobody will ever beat the Fink. He was brilliant. He was fantastic. He rest in peace. That man is blessed.
Yeah, well,
but it's just like, go ahead, Keaton.
Well, no, I was going to get to your question, but you can go first if you want.
No, I was just going to follow, just kind of tie that to our podcast. You know, when me and Ricky do a show, and even Keaton and I will do this too, we talk about it. We say, okay, I'm going to kind of go here, and then you're going to go there, and, you know, I'm going to react this way, you react that way. We don't say word for word, but we kind of plan it out so we know what we're doing. We don't go into it raw, like, and not know that. Like, we know the theme of how we're going to do it. And I think that's kind of a good thing to know when you're... Yeah,
you're breaking it down, you know. Obviously, if you wrote a script, you're not going to remember the script. But if you do it sort of beat for beat, you know. Right. Johnny will tell you, Johnny will vouch for me in this one. I had doing a promo a couple of weeks ago. I had it written out. So I had it rehearsed, you know, over and over and over. And broke it down into beat for beat for beat and pinpoints, bullet points, congested it, whatever it is, and then went out and just forgot the whole thing.
Well, it's funny when I got my video.
But here, nobody even noticed that you didn't remember because what you said. You know what I mean? You still done a great promo, without a doubt. See the commentary thing as well, like that's something like I never thought I'd enjoy doing commentary. I never thought like I'd be able to do it.
Yeah, commentating is fun. I mean, and then like I was gonna say, when I got my video production degree, we had to do a course where we had to do teleprompters, which I'm like a robot. If you have a thing that I got to read while I'm doing, I just get like, you know, I can't do it. I gotta just give me ad lib. Let me do my own.
One of the cool things we have now with the NIPW is we've got Rory and Enzo.
Yeah.
So we actually now have commentating live on our big shows, and then also on our dojo shows as well. The guys spend an awful lot of time, you know, commentating on the match, you know, out of their own home lives and work lives, you know, to bring us this product. Like, the boys are very, very good. And when they did the edition for us one night. I don't want to give too much away here, like, but at the dojo, and we had a few guys in, you know, trying to see who would work together. And these two boys gelled so well. They do a really, really good job, especially on live shows, Crush, as you might know, especially if your headset, you know, you have your producer in your ear. You know, you have to be on point. You can't stumble, mumble. You know, you have to be well articulated. Your timing has to be on point. And also, you know, sometimes the crowd are going to hear you. You know, you have to give them what they want, you know.
Right.
But they do great not only about the live show but you see whenever like they're recording like the ones that aren't live.
Yeah.
Like I imagine I wouldn't be able to do that myself because you kind of need to feel the atmosphere to react to it. When them two go and do the shows where it's not recorded live, like you think they are there. They still have that charisma. They have the energy. That you get the feel that they're calling it as they watch it before them.
Yeah.
Very passionate. Very passionate.
Yeah. No, they're brilliant.
Again, the NIPW production team, from lighting to sound to the ring build and the commentators, everything. It's all gelling together so well. Crush, you'll see this on Saturday when you're there. And hopefully you're in for a big surprise, man. And hopefully you understand what we're trying to bring to wrestling, especially here in Ireland, like, you know.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm telling you, and not only that, but I'll see the Lions Den Dojo too on Friday because we'll be there shooting our podcast that I told you about with Ricky and Ben. And Nathan Hoy is actually going to be a guest on this show too. So it'll be Nathan and John McCann. We'll start with them two, and then we'll bring in the two firecrackers, and hopefully they stay behaving themselves on this. I mean, I'm in between them, so if I have to,
hopefully it's civil.
Knock their heads together, right? But hopefully they behave themselves, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Keaton, more questions?
Well, earlier you gave it some very good names. Lillian Garcia, you gave some very good names. Samantha Irvin, all of them are very good. But Jonny Mcilroy, you're known as a ring announcer, and so is Joe Lean. So two of the best NIPW ring announcers. So first I want to know, Johnny, what is your Mount Rushmore of ring announcers?
Does it have to be WWE or anybody? They can count Bruce Buffer in there. Yeah. Bruce Buffer, Lillian Garcia, Howard Finkel, and Samantha Irvin.
Yeah, I would agree with Johnny. Like the most well known, especially Fink, Buffer, Lillian, Samantha. Yeah, that's your staple. That's your go-to. Like, so it is.
Well, do you guys?
Then do you swap out Samantha Irvin for Michael Buffer?
I was gonna say Michael Buffer.
I'm swapping Samantha Irvin for Buffer. Both Buffers are on it, hands down. Both Buffers are on it, definitely, man.
They are.
Come on, you grew up the same era as I did. Michael Buffer's voice was iconic.
Yeah, but not Buffer number 2. Like he's like, if you're thinking wrestling, right? Buffer number 2 is in UFC. Michael Buffer.
Without a doubt, and he is hands down. Bruce Buffer is. You can't follow him. He's up there as the best. I think he might be the best.
You're getting a stunner.
No, man.
But no, Michael Buffer and Bruce Buffer are related. I forget how though, but there is a relation there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're cousins or
they didn't. I don't even think they knew they were related, like until really later on in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
So who would you take out for Michael Buffer then?
Who would I?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, so you've got Howard Fink.
Yeah.
You've got Samantha Irvin. You've got Lillian Garcia.
Howard Fink, Bruce, and both Buffers.
Which one's Bruce? Is the one in the UFC? Yeah.
Bruce Buffer.
Yeah. No.
Bruce does the UFC stuff.
Yeah, no.
Michael Buffer used to know. Michael Buffer did all the original UFC stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But he was like the WCW, and he was announcing Hogan and all, and Dennis Rodman.
No. I agree with you there. I don't like his announcing in WCW, but his boxing announcing, man, I watched all them big fights back in the 90s.
But let's get ready to rumble. That's a classic.
Iconic.
Yeah. But you have to be.
Was he not getting paid? Was he not getting paid £1 million every time he said that?
I think. I mean, that was what he's known for. That's what people wanted to hear. Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to do, and here we go before we go and do the main events. Going to license it.
Well, since you guys are both announcers, I think this is a good time to talk about this because one of the things we're going to do in this championship match with Ben and Ricky, we're going to do what we call as a traditional startup. It's going to be like a classic championship match back in the day, where it's much like boxing. So after Johnny does his normal announcements, then we're going to all come to the center of the ring. They're going to come to the center, and then Johnny will hold the mic, and I'll be going over the match details, reiterate, go over the rules. Old school startup, and at the end, basically ask them to shake hands, and then go back to their corners. We'll see if that handshake happens, but yeah.
But that's good.
It kind of cool.
So it does. It makes it. This is a moment. This is for the NWF World Championship.
Yeah, just to kind of add it. And I'll also do. You guys might not do this anymore. I don't think you do, but I'll do a pat down too. Check for foreign objects.
Oh yeah.
So we'll check.
I love that.
Yep. And
absolutely.
So we'll do that, and then, like I said, the handshake and wrestling matches. See, this is how it always used to be done for a championship match in wrestling, just like boxing. But the handshake was always like you never knew which way that was going to go. They might shake hands, they might not. They might start wrestling right out that handshake. Yeah. I mean, all sorts of stuff in a wrestling match happen, but so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But
well, hopefully they shake hands. It's about respect at the end of the day, and a handshake or a touch gloves. Just it's good for the sport,
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying about the pat down. When they're both guys at the corner, especially when you're reffing. That is then your opportunity. Obviously, you're checking for foreign objects, but also to clean the bottom of the boots. The guys, I love that. Making sure the boots are clean. You don't want to be catching any stones or anything's tripped in.
Exactly.
That's it's another thing that refs should do and must do is clean the bottom of the feet of the opponents.
Because those boots can pick up all sorts of crap.
Yeah. Especially just with the texture at the bottom.
Yeah.
I said that to you whenever I seen you doing it. I was like, I'm going to do that from now on. I'd never thought of doing that.
We are now, so you don't have to. Like if you do it, I don't know.
Sorry, for different reasons. I like the respect side of it. So you see the way Gunther and that they would get in and wipe their feet. I don't things like that. I just love that.
Oh yeah, you wipe your feet before you get in the ring.
Yeah, that's right.
Right enough. I forget to do it every time.
Yeah. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, I don't know why they went away from patting down. It didn't take long. It wasn't taking a whole lot of time. Like, it's not a police frisk. I was telling Ben and Ricky about how this is going to happen. It's just going to be a quick check. It's not like it's not like you're spreading them and, it's not, I don't know why they got away from it. I always thought it was a cool kind of it was every match that they would do that. The refs would back in the day.
It gives you also, the cat in the bag, but like also gives you time, if there's anything you need to know, that's your moment to, just reiterate, right. What we're doing, you must do it, like, or sometimes you're just going in blind, or you forget. And then if you forget your spot or, whatever you're doing, then that's on you, And
I think that, I think that's something they're going to want to keep doing for these, whoever wins the belt, they're going to want to try to keep doing those traditional startups for those title matches. So just to kind of give that something unique for the belt when whoever gets it. Going forward.
The title match, a belt should be, it's prestigious. Any belt in wrestling is prestigious, and it should be treated as such. And I like your take on it as well. I like the old school, in the middle with the mic.
Well, I asked Nathan. I said, Nathan, are you cool with this? And this is my idea. And he's like, absolutely. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, again, it's very retro. It's very cool, and it's not something you see much of anymore. So I think that'll be fun.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
I don't think I brought this in. Is there a creative team at NIPW, and are your suggestions welcomed?
There's a creative team. So again, there's a lot of bodies involved, a lot of talent. And again, there is no show without them. There's no story-driven aspect of the show without the talent. Not everybody will, everybody will have an idea. Not every idea will get used. It could be a short idea. It could be long-term. So we bash ideas about, obviously, with each other to Nathan, and see what sticks, what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, you want to invest. People are invested in a story. You want to give them a story, something that they're going to come back for and buy tickets for. If they're just going to just watch wrestling, it would be deflated quite quick. It's just match after match after match. We have to. It has to be a story driven, which is what we're used to watching. Monday Night Raws and WCWs, the TNA and AEW. It is. I never like to say it, as much, but it is like a soap opera. Like, it's week to week. It could be month to month, or year to year. All these things, build up over time, and you're invested in the story. And everybody, will steal this from Cody Rhodes. Everybody wants to see you finish the story. Once you start something, you must follow it through, and hopefully those fans buy a ticket to see what comes next.
Yeah. NIPW find that balance well as well. Like, as you say, like they have the balance between the fans. Hold on 2 seconds, right?
Like with the fans. I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. I think am I cutting out, you guys?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
No, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. I think I just had a glitch on my internet. What'd you say, Johnny?
No, sorry. It's my phone. Something come up on my screen there. Sorry.
Oh.
No, so they have that there. Where were we?
I don't know, whatever your last comment. I just didn't get what you said in that last thing.
You're in your house, Johnny.
Hey?
You're in your house.
I meant what was I saying?
I don't know.
I couldn't remember because my whole thing kind of froze. I don't know if it's this or
we're talking about a story.
Yes. They found a balance well between storytelling, but also the hard hitting action in the ring. So there's a lot of ones you'll go to that is, you'll see your pantomime stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of that, it's like there's more of that than actual in-ring wrestling, whereas NIPW is as hard-hitting wrestling as you'll get anywhere, including OTT. But they also have the right storylines and good storylines, plus they get their storylines out there as well.
Sure.
They use social media to advertise them, take advantage of it.
And just from what I've seen with Keaton, when I first met him, and from that point till now, they've really improved things.
Definitely.
Think about it. There was no pro shots going on. Nothing was being. You were the cameraman in those days, Keaton. I mean, your stuff, right? like they didn't have any. Look at how they've advanced from that. From those days.
Yeah, so. We're very grateful for Keaton. A lot of the content we've had over the past 4 years has been a credit to Keaton and his dad. The guys have used a lot of their stuff for their socials, for their YouTubes. It's just such a credit to our company, is Keaton and Darren. Honestly, a godsend. There's been times where, obviously we've had shows that have been recorded. There's times we've went months without photographs, video. But again, we're using the power of social media. We do have a big screen. We try and catch up the fans as best we can on the shows with what was on the previous show. The production, especially the video and the way it's developed, has come a long way. And a credit to Keaton as well, because all those clips he has, especially for me, I have a lot of stuff I've stole off him for my YouTube channel. It's great, and it's so well done. And when he started his commentating as well, or his announcing over his videos, it's very, very good for such a young lad, a young gentleman. That's big steps. What is he now? He's a big teenager now. He's leaps and bounds.
And you can see yourself constantly improving with your interviews as well.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Yeah, when I started doing the commentary at the start, it was kind of scripted. I had everything word for word pretty much. But nowadays, when I do the commentary, I have nothing scripted. I just kind of wing it, and I think that's kind of the best thing to do instead of following everything by script. I think the best commentary I've ever done is DD Crooks and Sage Valentine, because it was just raw, proper excitement.
Yeah.
And I also
let your emotion get into it.
And with this podcast we do with him, Wrestling with Keaton, I actually told Keaton, let's do this, right? Because I was hosting it for him. And at first he always had questions and stuff. I've been trying to get him more like this, where he can just interact freely, so that it just feels it's more natural and it can be more, entertaining. Still have a few questions, but kind of blend in your own, like he's been doing today. So
to do that,
he's doing very well. He's very, very passionate about what he does, and the sport of wrestling, and he's going to go very, very far. He has come a long way, and he's going to go a lot further. So Keaton, everybody at NIPW, we're all proud of you, kid. We really are.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm going to bring this question in from Darren, and I'm going to play a promo to answer this for him. So what is the storylines with each of the matches on the next card at NIPW? Well, let's bring in a video here of the promo. I can pull it in so we can see this. Just give me 1 second here. I just got to get it in, because nothing's in, all of our stuff's in EVMux. So I got it right here though. All right, let's take a look at this. Should come in.
Attention Belfast, Northern Ireland's #1 pro wrestling promotion is making its highly anticipated return to the capital city. Saturday, May 31st at the Willowfields Church Halls. An absolutely stacked card in store for everybody that afternoon, so let's take a quick rundown of the action. Coming in red hot at #1, it's the NXG Junior Heavyweight Championship as the Irish grappler John McCann steps foot in the ring with the brand new NXG Junior Heavyweight Champion in his very first defence, Jordan Nelson. Up next we have Nando Libre versus Ken Cutler. Iron Ken Cutler is operating on a whole different level these days and is becoming a must-see star here in NIPW. He's looking to continue the form of his career. However, waiting for him is a refocused and determined Nando Libre looking to get himself back into the winning boots. Up next is a match with 40 years of history and prestige, the NWF World Heavyweight Championship, a title that has identified the very best young talent, and that's exactly what you're going to get as the Canary Kid goes one-on-one with Ben Nelson in the final match of a best for three. To ensure that's called down the middle, the man in charge of the action, the founder of the NWF and former multiple-time champion, none other than Crusher Crossen. Coming in next is four of the hardest hitting, trash talking, in your face competitors the North has to offer. Northwest versus Pure Filth. We never thought we would see Pure Filth side by side ever again. They're reunited, refocused and ready to go to war one more time. But this time, a Viking and a Cowboy awaits them. And that Viking and Cowboy have laid to waste every team they have met so far. And then your main event of the night, a singles match for the NIPW Resolution Heavyweight Championship. As the number one contender, undefeated King of the North, Damien Corvin steps foot in the ring with the undefeated NIPW Resolution Heavyweight Champion, Colin Black. Book your tickets now to assure your place in Northern Ireland's #1 pro wrestling promotion.
Such a card. That's a good card.
Yeah.
There we go.
Pure Filth in Northwest. Now that's the one I'm looking forward to there. That's going to get physical.
Yeah.
But then you talk about physical, but then you have Colin Black and Damien Corvin as well.
Yeah, 2 super heavyweights both for that NIPW Heavyweight Championship. That's going to be one to watch. But again, I'm excited now because we built it up so much over the course of the show. Is the Canary Kid versus Ben Nelson for the NWF World Championship. I think going to be invested in it big time.
I know that Canary, because we do the podcast NWF Forward, so he definitely wants to get the belt because he wants part of it. He wants to rub it in my face, right? So I'm sure. But that's and I know Ben wants to get it. They both want it. That's the thing. They want it so bad. But what I want to warn them about, and I'm going to talk to them about it when I go to that show Friday at the dojo with them, that podcast, I'm going to say, guys, they were best friends. You do realize that, right?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We know.
So right now they're putting the belt in front of their friendship, right? And I know all too well how that goes because I've done that. And
it's for the love of wrestling, isn't it?
It is for the love of wrestling. But let me tell you something. There's only one thing in this wrestling business that's forever. Only one. Everything else comes and goes.
Yeah.
Including your character and your gimmick and your career. But friendship's the only thing that lasts. That's to be the #1 priority in any.
Well, if Ricky or Ben get that title, their name will be forever etched in the history books of wrestling. Sure. And the NWF history books as well, Crush.
Oh, it will be, but but what I'm saying is you don't have to throw away your friendship to have a title match.
Yeah, but can you not? You can mend that crack later, can you not? It's a massive championship.
You
don't think so?
I've done it. It's so ironic. I was in the same situation these two are in. Kid Kelsey was my protege. No, I'm not talking about that. Kid Kelsey, this was a different match, Keaton. He was my protege, and I was his mentor, and I put the belt first, and we were never the same. I forget the fact that he didn't talk to me for 6 weeks, but when you damage a friendship, they're open wounds. Open wounds don't heal. So part of it is just never the same, and I'll never get it back. Yeah. 40 years I've carried that with me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to go into a match like that. I learned
but then
that.
Sometimes, I'm not a wrestler. You three guys, you're wrestlers. Keaton, you're training to be a wrestler. But surely you have to, if you want to reach the top, the very, very top, and the only thing that stands in front of you is your friend, got to cut them legs out from under your friend and get to the top.
I think
because your friend should be doing the exact same thing to you.
I think it was
that's my view
for Johnny because Johnny only has one friend. So
that's you, but
well, I mean, I'll talk to those guys about it when I have them in person. But there is a way to do a match where you respect each other, you give it everything you got, and what you're left with is these are the Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair matches you remember forever, right? So that's you bring out the best in each of you if you do it that way. If you let like you're saying, Joe Lean, and you do a little bit of that heel style tactic, we're gonna get this belt. Well, then you get a little bit of sloppiness, you get a little aggressiveness, and you don't get the good match that you really want to get out of it. That's what I'm trying to tell them. So that's all I mean by that.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it'll be good. And this funny thing is when we first announced it with both of them, they were on a podcast several months ago. We announced this match. They were super respectful to each other.
Yeah.
But look what's happened now.
Well, this is because you have stirred the pot over the past several months. There's nobody to blame but yourself.
They used to be such good friends before Crusher came.
Yeah, you've ruined friendships, you've ruined lives and friendships, man. It's totally on you.
Keaton and Dave remind me of it. But but yeah, well, it'll be a good match. I'm still looking forward to coming out there and visiting and meeting everybody and Mitch too. I know you guys are getting on him, but I'm looking forward to meeting Mitch. So
nobody looks forward to meeting Mitch. What are you talking about?
Let's see. Oh, here's a comment, and there's a new one. Mitch. Darren says, "What a card! Are there any tickets left? If so, where can people get them?" Well, the tickets have been on that poster thing. I'll bring it in again.
So
the link will be there. I think there's a few left.
Tickets are available. Head over to nipw.sumupstore.com for all your Wrestle Clash needs. That's nipw@sumupstore.com.
Yep, and that's where you can get the tickets. And not much time left, so you're gonna get them quick.
No, you gotta get them quick. You know, there's limited tickets remaining. I would act quickly, pull the trigger on that. If you want to see a super show, this is where you go. NIPW is the place to be. Tell them, Johnny.
Not only that, but that main event that could headline any promotion in Ireland.
Like, what's the storyline there, guys? We didn't talk about the storyline there. Like, what is
storyline
with that main event? With those
I think the main story between I don't think there's been any actual beef between them two yet. Not that I've noticed anyway. But I think the main story there is both them being undefeated.
Okay.
And then NIPW.
Sure. Yeah.
Also, both of them are main attractions. Well, Colin's kind of going to main attraction on ODT as well, and he calls himself the Kings of the North, right? Colin's
King of the North.
down south. So there's a bit of a war between them two, and these two are some of the best that you have to offer. And obviously Damien Corbin, one of the best in Northern Irish pro wrestling history, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And Colin Black as well was really good on OTT, one of the biggest on OTT. So I cannot wait for this main event for the Resolution Championship.
I think it has to be said as well, the form that Colin Black's been on since his return. Like, that guy is a completely different animal. Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah. So that's going to be a great show. And I just, I've been wanting to do this, and I was so glad that Nathan agreed to let me come over and do this with the belt. So just to be a part of it, I'm just thrilled. I'm just thrilled to be a part of it,
Yeah.
So, Joe Lean, I've got a question for you. So so you've won the Battle Royal, which Mitch Baxter threatened to fire you if you didn't win. So you defied the odds, won the Battle Royal. Now you have a lot of Rumble. You have a lot of experience in Rumbles. Won them twice. I remember that.
Yep.
And now this time you're getting the title opportunity. Are you able to reveal what title you may be looking towards?
No, not yet. I want to keep that close to my chest. Again, the stipulation for the Rumble at Breakout 2 was the winner receives a future title match or a match for a championship of his choice, whether that be the NXT Junior Heavyweight Championship or the NIPW Resolution Heavyweight Championship. In my eyes, anybody who's in wrestling, their main goal is to capture the top title in that industry. And for me, that would be the NIPW Resolution Heavyweight Championship. So I will be watching Colin Black and Damien Corbin's match very, very closely. It is my understanding that I have a cash-in opportunity when I see fit. And then, I'm just going to play it by ear. I'm not going to tell anybody when, but you're going to know when that music hits. It's time to go.
And it could be anywhere. It could even be for the NWF Championship, NXT Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, yeah.
So put everyone on notice.
It's true.
That could be a good one.
There's a big misconception that the NWF Championship is for teenagers. It's not. It's for indie. It was an indie world championship in the end, so that's what we're considering it. So
it doesn't matter if it's Ricky or if it's Ben. I have no problem stunning two children.
What if it's Crusher? What if it's Crusher?
I have no problem stunning a pensioner either. So
don't tempt me, guys.
You're going to let him speak to you, like that?
Don't tempt me to come out of retirement. Don't make me stay in Ireland.
Oh, you can stay. It's lovely. The weather's nice here. You'd love it, if the rain stays away, you'll be all right.
If you don't like the weather here, wait 5 minutes and it'll change.
I'll tell you something, guys. I wish I could go back in time to my younger self. I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're looking forward to about Ireland, like outside of the wrestling aspect of it?
Yeah, just seeing Europe, period. Like, to be in Europe is, I think, cool, even if it's Ireland. That part of it. So, and then maybe see a castle.
You gotta do the North Coast Drive then.
The North Coast Drive?
Yeah.
I don't want to see like castle after castle after castle. I mean, because once you see, it starts to get repetitive. I've read about it. But to see like one at least, right? For sure.
Well, up where I am, like Game of Thrones was literally shot on my doorstep. So like we've got the castle from it, and then like a lot of the scenic shots, the dark ages and all as well.
And then just see what like some of the food's like. You know, gosh, you guys are so lucky. We have all this crap in our food over here, and you guys so experience like the better quality ingredients that they have and stuff that they put into it. Like over here, they want me to bring some Twizzlers and stuff. I mean, are you sure you want this stuff? Yeah, who knows what?
I don't care if it's cold. I'd have you bring me Waffle House. I miss Waffle House so much in America. Their hash browns were like the best hash browns ever.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any here in Salt Lake City, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like it's dirty food, really cheap dirty food, but it is so damn good.
I was reading online though that people say they like goldfish crackers because they can't get them over there. I guess goldfish crackers. You don't ever get those, huh?
Goldfish cracker? No, yeah, I have a couple of goldfish, like, but you know,
they're just little goldfish crackers. Yeah, it's kind of a
and these crackers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, with all due respect, in that battle royal, you're so lucky that Michael Myers wasn't there. He screwed you out of so many battle royals, and if he was there, he would 100% win that.
Yeah,
I don't know who that is, but he has a bit of a problem for you.
Yeah, well, I think I'm the only wrestler in the history of wrestling who has a 4-year-long feud with horror icon Michael Myers. Every year for Halloween for the past 4 years, Michael Myers has showed up and cost me a Rumble, another Rumble, another Rumble.
So a guy with the mask just shows up?
Yeah, and he's one he chokeslam me, throws me out, he just beats me up. It's ongoing. Last year, you know, I didn't have a match. I wasn't at the Halloween show, but he showed up at my house and they caught him drinking tea. There's a video on Facebook or whatever it is. The man just won't leave me alone. I'm like, as Laurie Strode, you know, it's awful. You know,
Jamie Lee Curtis has done a better job of getting away from him than you did. By the sounds of things.
Yeah, well, it's just the man's just a menace. Like I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know. I'm not that appealing. Like so. Yeah, but every year.
I do got a comment from Mighty Molly though for you, Joe. I'm going to bring it in here. Do you remember Keaton's first show, that dance off?
Yeah, I think I do. I think that might have been me. I think I was a referee, and then Keaton. I think Chris Mercer was an announcer.
Yep.
And I think I did. I think I did a very, very, very bad version of a Lena Rooney. So I did. And then I think Keaton ultimately won the dance off because he had help. Obviously, you know, it was very biased, but I remember not very well though.
You wouldn't be salty at all, would you?
No, not at all, no. What dance off?
Well, and Johnny, I see you've been doing very well with interviews as well. Your interviews are class, the top 5 questions with Jonny Mcilroy. I know I've been a guest on it, and I love being on it. It was an honour. But also, you're now, I suppose you could call you a backstage interviewer at NIPW because you do so many interviews, even just for your Facebook account. And, you know, some of them have been very fierce. You've said that you've been bullied by pure filth. There's been a lot of fierce interviews. So I want to know, what was your toughest ever interview that you've ever had?
I think the toughest ones, I would have to go with 2 there would be, I think, first of all, nerve-wise was the Damien Corvin one. I think it's because Damien, so like 3 years before that, I was sitting as a fan watching Damien Corvin in the ring. Do you know what I mean? So, and then a couple of years later, I introduced him to the ring and then did an interview with him. So for that, it was that nerve-wise, that was hard. But I would say Sage Valentine's. Like Sage is a guy that doesn't talk to anybody apart from DD. By the sounds of things, that when he does talk, it's few words, but stern words. But I also kind of get the feeling there's more there to him that fans, and I've tried to poke at that. I know I've put myself in danger at times doing that, and I'm very well aware of the fact that he could take me out anytime he wants. But Sage Valentine's interview are very hard to get words out of him, but when you do, it makes it very well worth it.
Yeah, and you're incredible doing interviews as well. You've come so far with it. You've created a good fan base for yourself as well.
Thank you. Fan base is just, I don't want to say it's a fan base. It's just really ones you've met in wrestling. But
just George.
Just George, aye. George. But no, the interviews is something that I think as well, whenever I started, I had a few health issues as well. And now that I've kind of got that out of the road, it's given me a lot more confidence as well. But not only that, the NIP roster as well. That's one thing that has to be said with interviews is kind of like the only place. Well, you go and you shout interviews after the show, and every person straight up they want to do something, and that makes it so much easier, without a doubt.
Is that when you shoot the interviews pretty much at the end or at the beginning?
Say that again, sorry.
Do you like to do your interviews before or after the show?
If it would depend. If it's an interview that's related to the show, I would try to do it after. If it's one that's coming out just like a wee one-off interview with me and somebody else, like for example the one I done with Ian or things like that, then I'll just whenever it sits down, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But it's hard to pick the right time as well.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And
I went to the LJ Cleary seminar, and it was sitting. That's the only one I couldn't get the LJ Cleary interview. I was so gutted about that, and I was sitting trying to pick my right time to ask him, and I knew he genuinely had to go straight away. So I didn't have the nerve.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. But yeah, I understand.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He was on WWE, as you know, as you've probably seen. He was on WWE with Labour Valkyria.
That was brilliant to see. I couldn't believe it. And do you want to know something? That's something as well, is that. So if you look at Laura Valkyria, you look at even LJ being seen on TV, you have Damian Corvin there was in the main event of SmackDown, stood beside CM Punk. Not only that, but JD McDonough, Finn Balor, Sheamus, Becky Lynch. If you're a competitor, say now Joe Lean here in Northern Ireland, or indeed just Ireland in general, how you cannot be inspired at the minute to try and achieve your dreams whenever you look at what's being done in WWE. I mean, the WWE Tag Team Championships walked down an OTT ramp and were defended on an OTT. To me, that is absolutely mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's involved in Irish wrestling, because now what's happened, because they're in WWE and so many of them doing well, it's made the journey from Irish independent to WWE a lot shorter. It's not as far away now because there's contacts there. And because there's so many promotions in Ireland, you've constantly got an opportunity to prove yourself and get eyes on you as well for the wrestlers. And you're seeing many of them get identified now.
And that's just it. It's all about contacts. You need to have contacts in order to get into there. Back in the day, we'd send tapes. You'd just send tapes to the places. And if they liked your tape, this is back in the VHS days. But now, you got to know. You always have to have an in. You have to have somebody who will recommend you, Yeah.
No, I just want to say is a credit there to Jonny when Jonny said about his backstage interviews and his health problems at the start of the year. It's a credit to him too, because not everybody can excel at being ginger. So hats off to you, Jonny. You
want to know something? There's one guy I used to really dislike in NIPW, and it was Mitch Baxter. But do you want to know something? Mitch, if you're still watching, your hair is beautiful. You are one hell of a GM, and I hope you make his life as miserable as we all know it can be.
Come on, Jonny.
I don't know. Did you guys see that Instagram post Mitch did? Something about he's not going to take any crap here coming up on the next one.
Oh, right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He constantly cries about something the man doesn't have a happy bone in his body. I
had to set the yellow pages down beside the ring so he could step in it just to reach into the ring.
Mitch's Baxter's tagline is bad attitude, which is exactly what he has. He's just sour baked, you know what I mean? That's just Mitch,
He's a human version of getting a tooth pulled.
Yeah. And he's short.
Yeah.
What's the chant that we like to say to him, Midget Mitch?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so Keaton has a brilliant one. So the fans would chant Midget Mitch on the shows, and it's a credit to Keaton, because it's one of his better ones, and it really caught on. Baxter does not like it at all. So keep it going.
So that's
something else.
That wouldn't be a good thing to say to him, midget bitch.
Oh, yeah. Please do.
That's something else that Keaton needs recognition for as well, is that the amount of chance that he gets going. And good chance as well in that dojo.
The input on a live show from Keaton, it's top notch. It really is. Like, he gets the fans rally behind him. Like,
it's not often there's a It's not often there's a dip in the crowd in the dojo, but whenever there is, he just gets them straight back on their feet again.
Every time.
But from now on, Keaton, all the abuse goes to Joe Lean.
Come on. We're having fun.
If you ever turn heel again and do something bad to Pop and Patty, you will get the abuse again.
No, I don't think I'll be heel. I think I'm just nice. I'm cruising, I'm tiptoeing. You gotta let me fly, Pop and Patty deserved everything he got. Keaton, you know this,
Who's Pop and Patty? This is before my time.
Oh, you don't? I've seen the old stuff of him. Yeah, I don't. He wasn't, but I've seen the old videos of him.
So Pop and Patty, Patty was you're going to be serious for a minute, Patty was absolute credit to the wrestling industry. Patty is actually, he's passed away or anything. Patty is short, and he probably don't mind, and he is deaf in both ears. He wore hearing aids to the ring with his headgear.
I know you're talking about.
Sometimes he struggled to hear what was going on, but the matches that he performed, were absolutely phenomenal. He was naturally talented, and people loved him, and he had such a cool gimmick, and for his what he thought was shortcomings, it was wonderful to see. I think he doubted himself too much. He should hold himself in a high regard, because he was very, very good at what he did, in such a short time. He could over Rover. He needs to come back. There was a massive fan base for Pop and Patty, and hopefully one day he returns to NIPW, because it's home. He needs to be here. People love him. We all love him. We want him back. We think he's fantastic. He really, really is. He doesn't give himself enough credit. So he doesn't. He should come back.
It's great to see that. It's great to see that he was able to excel. I was part of a show there. There was a CAW show. They done it with the Tuned In project. It's called the Foil Rumble.
Yeah. We had them on.
And they brought in people with learning difficulties. There's a blind guy there as well. And it is the most, not just saying it, is the most impressive thing I've seen in my 2 years doing this. They didn't they didn't just come in and just kind of stand there and act out. They done matches, and they were damn good at it as well. The main event, Combo Cray and PJ Danger.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That's as solid a match as I've seen. It was absolutely fantastic.
We had him on, right, Keaton?
Yeah, we had them on.
Talking about that.
That's right. Yes, you had them on.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's you're giving back to the community as well. These guys follow wrestling and love wrestling. They're passionate about it. So why not give them the opportunity to then perform? Their dream as much as we're living ours. I think it's an absolute. What's happening in Northern Ireland is an absolute credit to the wrestling scene, especially that and what Nathan does with the kids in NIPW. It's fantastic to see. It really is.
Yeah,
and it's up and down the country as well. You have it. I would consider CAW and I know they're Donegal, but I would still consider them a northern promotion. So they're operating down around there. Then you have Stay True operating up in the north coast, and then you have NIPW and Titanic operating in the middle of the country. So north to south, you're spoiled for choice.
Yeah,
exactly. And when you were watching the Tuned In project, guys, Johnny, did you announce it? Did you do the commentary on it? Did you?
No, that was that was my first heartbreak, I guess I'll say. I was looking forward to that one, I will say now. I was looking forward to announcing that one because it would have been my biggest show. But I think it was 2 weeks before it, Stephen came to me and was I think these other guys, they have their own white-collar ring announcer. They want to go with that. And it's don't get me wrong, I was got it, without a doubt I was. But these things happen. So I was not a problem, still want to be there, go up, help out, do whatever I can do. And then he offered me to do the commentary for it. So I ended up getting involved doing the commentary instead, and it all worked out for the better. Because now I do full-time commentary for CAW instead of ring announcing, and you have Johnny Hot Sauce down there now doing a fantastic job at ring announcing.
Exactly. And I think that at the Tuned In Project show, the CAW show, no one really expected them to be as good as they were. When I first heard of it, I thought they'd be escorted out to the ring and everything would be really planned out. But see that PJ Danger match versus Combo Gray, you could tell that a lot of it wasn't pre-planned. The way he walked in rope, as if he's been doing it for years, and it just proves that anyone could do wrestling, no matter who you are.
Without a doubt, like the kid was scary. It was absolutely scary how good he. And listen, I credit you well as to Combo Cray, because he conducted every stage. He was part of every match. Backstage, he was part of it in every match together. And every single match delivered. I still say, they go, some of the loudest pops I've heard doing it. Whenever I can't remember was it Brian, the blind guy? And then was it Chris was berating him? Chris Mercer was berating him. He was saying some really low stuff, being a proper scumbag. And then Brian just drops him out of nowhere. And it was absolutely, the pop was just insane. As well, the PJ putting Combo Cray through the table. That was... What a pop that was. I lost my voice due to that.
Campbell told us that it was Haley Latani that actually came up with that, who we were talking about earlier. She came up with the idea, so why don't you put him through a table? And it was so cool.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, because Haley, that's why I had to mention her name earlier, because not only the referee, and every single show she's on, she knows every single person's job. She just gets involved in everything and helps out in every aspect she can. So there'd be a lot of shows without her would not go ahead.
And guys, we're going to get kind of starting to wrap it up, but I do have a couple comments I want to get in first. This is just going to be like a real quick one here. Is that a Joe Lean jacket behind you, Keaton?
Yeah, it is. It was gifted to me actually by Joe Lean.
All right, so there we go. There's a Joe Lean jacket back there. And then Darren says it's been some transformation from NXT to NIPW. What stands out for you from those days to these days, like from the NXT to the NIPW?
So from the transition from NXT to NIPW, the biggest standout would be the product itself, in terms of storytelling and more so production. The production aspect, I've said it throughout this podcast, the production value that we now have is phenomenal. There's many cogs in that wheel. It's a different dynamic. If you go back and watch the early days of NXT, sometimes we've done shows with no lights, sometimes we've done shows with no video. Now we have all that. We even got fireworks, we got pyro. We have everything and more. That people are, they know that's, if they're watching like a Monday Night Raw or something, that's what they expect. And we can now provide that, especially even something as simple as a commentary, so you're just not watching, a match, with no audio. There's a story being told, you're invested, you see the lights and the sounds, the video of NIPW, you're like, wow. And also the introduction of a heavyweight championship and a junior heavyweight championship. When we started, I don't think we had a title or a championship for a while. Maybe the SIW Academy Championship, which was brought over, I think. I don't want to say anything. I could get it wrong. I don't want to discredit myself. But that was our title for a while. But the heart and soul then was the workhorse was the NXT Junior Heavyweight Championship. And then the NIPW Championship came along as well. It's just absolutely fantastic to have these things, that people want to fight for and, take pride in, in holding it, you're at the top of your game. So production, performance, everything. It's an all-rounder. It's night and day. That's probably the best way to put it. Watch our first NXT show and watch our last up-to-date NIPW show, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Big transformation, and I know that for sure. When I went to the first ever NXT Roars War, not taking anything away from you guys, but a lot of it was quite amateur, obviously, because we were just starting through as well.
Yeah.
And, and now what it's become, the last show I was at was the Breakout show, and that's supposed to be an academy show for young people to come through, and that's better than anything in Northern Irish wrestling that I've seen, apart from obviously the bigger NIPW shows. So the transformation's been incredible, and it's all credit to not just Nathan, which he's obviously a big credit, but everyone else behind it, like behind the scenes, like Mitch Baxter, obviously the talent, and Jonny Mcilroy, the voice of NIPW, and you, obviously, Joe, who do the referee stuff. So everyone who's been a part of it has made it what it was.
Well, let me just touch on that, Keaton, because what you just said is so fitting. Because back at people used to ask me and try to give me all the credit for the NWF, and I always answered it this way: as good as I was, I couldn't have done it without everybody working with me. It's a team. environment here. You need everybody firing on all cylinders in the promotion. And if you don't have everybody, and I'm only one person, I can maybe help guide and lead them, but you need the team. You need everybody, and they have to be vested and all be on the same page. And so that's what you guys have really shown. I mean, I even see it. So from afar, so that's a credit to all you guys.
See what NIPW has as well. Like this, I was talking to like a non-wrestling friend of mine the other day, and I was trying to explain to them like about NIPW. Do Keaton, Joe, any useful football at all? No.
No, I don't.
So and football, Man United, there was what was known as the class of '92. That's where you had like David Beckham and like the Nevilles, a core group of players all breaking through at the one time. You had it in WWF and the Attitude Era as well. Whenever you had Stone Cold, Triple H, Undertaker, Mankind, The Rock, they got lucky with all them coming through at the same time. I see that sort of thing happening with the NIPW roster. That you're getting Sage Valentine, DD Crooks. It kills me. I hope he never hears this. DD Crooks, I will die in this mountain that he's the best promo in Ireland. He is the best 100%. Person on anybody and any promotion without a doubt. But then you've Stevie Fee, then you've Half Dam, now you've got Brandon Jenkins coming along.
Yeah.
Like there is so much talent. And then obviously you get like really jammy, lucky guys that get a lucky Battle Royale win or something like that.
Well, guys, we're going to have to wrap the show up here because we're kind of getting to the end of it now. But let's just quickly talk then, Keaton, about what's coming up. We don't have the graphics to show, but so the next show I guess the next one will be the special live in person for NWF Forward, which is on your channel. It's on our NWF channel, and this one will be on NIPW's official YouTube channel as well. And it's going to be live from the Lions Den Dojo. In the ring, we have Nathan Hoy, we have John McCann coming on to talk because John was his first, NXG trainee that he had. So we're going to talk about that, and then we'll have Ben Nelson and the Canary Kid. Hopefully, they stay civil. We'll see. And then we're going to talk about that, and then talk about their match coming up, and that's going to be a real fun show. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be live. Right now, it's tentatively at 7 p.m. Ireland time, Friday night. So that'll be this coming Friday, and it could change a little bit, though, because one of our guys has a scheduling issue, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But when he lets us know for sure, then we'll know if we have to move it up. It might be moved a little later, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
So that's what we got going on. Now, Keaton, what do we got coming up on your next show and when?
Yeah, so on the next Kayfabe with Keaton, we'll have a guy coming on called Archie Stubbs, who I met him at a Fort Lover Wrestling show, and that's how I got him on. So at the Fort Lover Wrestling, he has his own display where he's still quite young, but he puts up all the old British wrestling stuff. He has Big Daddy. He has a bit of strange stuff like Big Daddy's massage cream. But he also has Big Daddy's old jacket, Jan Haystack's jacket. He has a Senken no Nagasaki jacket. He has all the old memorabilia and the actual original championship from World of Sport Wrestling. And these guys would gift this to him because they didn't know who he is, because he's trained by Murray Jones. So he has different stuff like that, and has all the old pictures and then all the old posters. He'd have a display of that. It is really, really, really cool. And I'm a big fan of the old British wrestling stuff, like Johnny Saint and people like that. But it's going to be very cool to see that. And recently he started up his own toy company called Apps Toys, he calls it. And he sells, nowadays he's created the first ever British wrestling figures, which is, he's made Jan Haystack's Big Daddy figures, Rollerball Mark Rocco, Marty Jones, people like that, Johnny Saint. So he runs his own toy company where you can surely check out that. He's going to talk to that about us, and he's going to talk about his love for British wrestling. So I can't wait for that one.
And that's going to be 2 weeks from today, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right. So let's tune in for that. But otherwise, guys, we've went almost 2 hours here, so we're gonna end it out. Thanks everybody for tuning in and watching, and we will see you guys. We'll see you again on Friday when we do that our next live stream anyway. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right.